They tried to disrupt major companies, sparking fears of a global cyber war. But although the online attacks by supporters of the whistleblowing website WikiLeaks certainly generated lots of attention, new research revealed to this programme reveals they're only part of a tiny overall threat. And there are claims that the attacks could have been hyped up by cybersecurity companies. It suggests the government spending might be better focused on far bigger problems, criminal and state-sponsored hacking. We should warn you that our technology correspondent Benjamin Cohen's report contains some flash photography.
Supporters of WikiLeaks launched a war of retaliation today on the internet.
Well, there is war underway right now on the internet, the cyber battle over WikiLeaks.
If you were to judge by last week's headlines, you might have thought the world was about to crash to an end due to cyber warfare.
Find themselves under attack.
Those headlines started after major companies such as Visa and PayPal withdrew their support for WikiLeaks and quickly became the target of cyber attacks. Some reports suggested it was the opening salvo in a new cyber war. But Channel 4 News has discovered that the situation was nowhere near as serious as it was made out.
So how do these cyber attacks work? Just like customers at a bar, internet users make requests for web pages from a server computer.
These servers are built to cope with many demands at once.
Pint of Foster's then, please.
But if there are too many requests, the server gets overloaded,
2 gin and tonics,
and sooner or later, it will crash.
Last week's cyber attacks came from a group calling itself Anonymous under the codename Operation Payback. But we've seen data which shows these form just a tiny part of the overall cyber threat. Since October, there have been nearly 78,000 attacks on specific websites worldwide. Only 1% were due to so-called hacktivist groups, such as Anonymous. That group targeted companies that stopped processing payments to WikiLeaks, including Visa, MasterCard and PayPal. Data relating to the attack on one unnamed target of Operation Payback shows that in that attack, just 110 individuals were identified as being involved, of whom just 3 were from the UK. So a tiny group can bring down a major corporation's website, but only for a short period of time.
I suppose you could say it wasn't that successful. They caused a small amount of damage, delay to MasterCard and to Visa. There's actually, as we speak, no sign that anybody is being sympathetic to WikiLeaks and giving them back the payment facilities, which is what triggered the attack in the first place.
So were we misled last week about the scale of the threat from Anonymous? Some have suggested that it was hyped up by companies flogging cybersecurity services.
Journalists are terrified of the impact of the internet on their profession, so they intend to interpret stories about people who use the net intelligently with a great deal of paranoia, which leads them to inflate the significance of what has really happened. And then there is a bizarre coalition of interest. You have got the net activists on one side, and on the other, net security companies who think they can sell people a solution to a problem which might not be quite as serious as they would like people to believe it is.
An OECD report due to be published next year and obtained by Channel 4 News argues that hacktivists like Anonymous are low-level risks because of their small numbers, lack of focus, and a technical inability to bring down systems for a sustained period of time. The report argues that the much bigger risk comes from criminals and states who can cause much more damage because they control millions of virus-infected computers. Their attacks have wider geopolitical impact, such as we've seen during Russia's alleged attack of Estonia and Georgia's internet infrastructure. According to the new data provided to Channel 4 News, the UK is the 5th biggest source and victim of cyber attacks.
The Cabinet Office is responsible for government cybersecurity, and sources have confirmed to us that Whitehall departments come under attack all of the time, but just with no noticeable success on the part of hackers. Nevertheless, the government is to spend £650 million on cybersecurity, and Channel 4 News understands that some of that is actually being spent developing the UK's own cyber weapons.
Anybody who conducts any reasonable level of research into cyber attacks for defensive purposes actually has all the knowledge that they need in order to carry out a cyber attack. All what is missing is a small amount of additional work and the political will.
Anonymous's Operation Payback didn't change the minds of the companies that took WikiLeaks offline, but WikiLeaks survived by duplicating its content on web servers all around the world, meaning it will be impossible for any state or company to suppress the information it releases. And because the mirror sites are controlled by volunteers, not even Julian Assange himself can take down the site. Its future and the leaks it contains are therefore secured forever.